My name is Russlynn. I am the chair of the Emerson Education Fund, and here at the Emerson Collective, we work to ensure that everyone has an equal opportunity to succeed in life. Most recently, I was the Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights under President Obama and Secretary Duncan, where I led the nation's largest civil rights enforcement agency for 4 years. And there we studied deeply the inequities that face America's schools. The state of our schools is the most important civil rights issue of our generation. We lose 8,300 young people every single day from our high schools. 8,300. In the end, when we look at dropouts and we look at those 8,300 kids every single day that drops out, far too often we blame them. We blame them. We don't look at the systematic failure of a system that allows that to happen. And then when we unpack who those 8,300 kids are every single day that drops out, it should offend the sensibilities of every American that they are so divided by race and class. All of what we know matters when it comes to ensuring that students are ready to succeed in life and career and college when they graduate from high school. We provide less of those things to students who need them the most, namely low-income students, students learning the language for the first time, and students of color in this country. So when we look at, for example, things like the best teachers, no matter how you define great teaching, and there's a lot of debate in this country and a lot of fights about that, but no matter what qualities or indicators you look at to study whether a teacher is strong, the teachers that need the most help, that are our least qualified, teach our lowest performing students and our most at-risk students. This is a pattern that exists everywhere in the country. We spend far fewer dollars on teaching students, those students, the same students that are most at risk. We provide them far less access to the courses and the standards and the skills and the learning they're going to need to succeed after high school, right? As a parent, as a student, you were told that you were proficient. That's great news. The question is, proficient on what? And when some unpacking was done, we realized that states had lowered the standards so much that what was college ready in some states was barely high school ready in others, right? That's unfair. That's discrimination. Might not be the same kind of discrimination that we've thought about throughout history. But why should a student in Mississippi know less because we teach them less than a student in Massachusetts? The then President Bush called it the soft bigotry of low expectations, right? It's not so soft. It is not so soft. Because when you see what happens when you teach students at the highest level imaginable, when you don't look at their race or their background and somehow think that we have to hug them to death, or they can't stretch very hard, or we can't teach them because their lives are so hard. When you see a paradigm that flips that and says, actually, we're going to stretch you harder because you have further to go, and you see these students owning that, knowing that I have further to go, whether it's a system that did it, whether it's life that did it, whether it's me that did it, I have farther to go and I'm going to get there. And I guarantee you, I can't wait to see these young people move through college or career or whatever they choose. This is not about deciding that every student needs to go to college. It's about empowering with every student so they make the choice. We know what to do, right? When we make sure that the best instructors who want to be teaching there are given the supports and the intervention tools that they need to catch their students before they slip, students soar. It's just that simple. When we make sure that we are teaching them the most rigorous of curricula in a way that is exciting and motivating and inspiring, when we give them fair resources, when we give them their fair share of facilities, when we teach them, right? Persistently failing schools transform. 14 years ago, it was 12, it was the youth of Los Angeles Unified that screamed, "Se se puede, give me A to G for all." A to G is the college prep curricula, because over and over, valedictorians, salutatorians, not being able to even apply to the state's four-year colleges, CSU or UC, because they weren't given the courses that those universities required for application and admission, right? So it's those young people. Local control funding here in California. Finally, the governor is ensuring that at least resources will be targeted to districts that have majority low-income students or students that need extra help. It is the voices of young people that will ensure those dollars actually get to those kids, and that will ensure those dollars are spent in a fair and equitable and important way, right? I have also never seen more dramatic change than when youth are behind it. We say this is the most important civil rights issue of our generation, but nothing about this work looks like a civil rights movement of its past. In the same way that we would not have had a civil rights movement of the 60s if it were not for those young people that gathered together in the basement of that church and then became SNCC. Young people are going to be the face of this movement that will truly transform our schools. They have to be.